are 3 passages on the reading test, and each passage is a page and a half long, more or less. And my advice is to learn how to scan for information, learn how to do skimming. Don't sit down and read the entire passage, then read the questions and go back and try to find the answers. If you're doing that, you're wasting a lot of valuable time. I would start out with the reading test by, first of all, skimming the test. Read the first paragraph. Find out what that passage is about. Go to each paragraph following that. Read the first sentence. The first sentence is a topic sentence. It tells you what that paragraph is about. And then read the last sentence. It's a concluding paragraph. It tells you what the essay was about that you didn't read. Next, go to the questions. When you're looking at the questions, you want to highlight or underline or circle the key words and immediately think of synonyms, because unless the word in the question is a proper noun, unless it's someone's name or unless it's the name of a building or the name of a city, you're not going to find that same vocabulary or the same word within the passage itself. There will be a synonym that is related to it. For example, if it's got the year 1968 in it, you're going to maybe scan for something related to that, but it's very unlikely that the same word that is in the question will appear in the original text, because they will probably put a synonym. So instead of 1968, they might have in the 60s or 4 decades ago. Another example that I can think of that I heard earlier that one of the students was telling me about was in the question and asked him something about a game. But in the test paper itself, the word game never showed up. It was match. Be familiar with the test question types that are on there. You're going to find questions like multiple choice questions. You'll find fill-in-the-blank questions. You'll find sentence completion questions, matching a heading to a paragraph, true, false, not given, yes, no, not given questions. A whole range of questions that you need to be familiar with, and you need practice. So you need to practice before the exam that when you see the question type, because you don't know what kind of question type is going to come up, immediately you see the instructions, you know exactly what you're doing. If you've got a multiple choice question in, say, the first passage, and the instructions of it say, choose 2 appropriate answers, right? Or choose 2 appropriate letters. I'll guarantee you, when you see the next set of multiple choice questions, it won't be looking for 2 answers. It will be looking for either 3 or for 1. So you have to read the instructions very carefully to make sure that you understand what is required of the question. Human nature, I've answered the first set of questions, I've answered the first 10 questions, for example, and the multiple choice questions all told me to choose 2. So when I go to the second passage, I've got a multiple choice question, I know I've got to come up with 2, but unfortunately, it's asking you for 3. There are oftentimes on multiple choice questions that common sense can help you to answer the question. You might get a question about something general like the sun. Let's talk about the sun. And it says the sun is A, hot, B, blue, C, cold, and D, yellow. Well, you're human, you see the sun, you know it's not cold, so so you can eliminate that answer. You know the sun isn't blue if you've ever looked at it, so you can eliminate that answer. Therefore, we only have two answers left. We have hot and yellow. We need to then look back into the passage and try and find something that relates to hot or something that relates to yellow. If you can't find the answer within the question, guess, because you're not penalized for wrong answers. You're only given credit for answers that are correct.
You have got the true, false, not given, which is it's a very difficult thing to do. Even I find it quite difficult, to be honest, doing this. So I know that students might find it difficult.
The questioning from the student comes in when it's no or not given. You must be very careful. You must look really carefully to make sure that the answer is no.
I'm here today to give you some tips on what you can do to do a better job at the listening test, to get a higher score on the listening test. The first thing, the most important thing, is to read the instructions, I think. If you're not reading the instructions, you don't know exactly what it is that's required for the answer for the IELTS test. So the instructions might tell you to write down no more than 3 words, or write down no more than 4 words. Numbers are important. If you get them wrong, your answer is wrong. When you're given the test, there's a little blip that lasts about 30 seconds that says you will now have 30 seconds to look at questions number 9 to 15.
Anna Maria and Tom have persuaded Abdul to join the college badminton club. He is talking to the club secretary. As you listen, fill in the spaces 5 to 10 on the membership form. First, you have some time to look at the form.
All right. When you're looking at those questions, what I would be doing is I would be looking for a couple of things. I would be looking for keywords in the questions. I would underline them or circle them. The next thing I would do is I would think of synonyms, words that have a similar meaning to them.
How do you rate your game? Beginner? League?
Oh no, I'm not league standard. Just middling really. Not bad, but not good. Just play for fun and to keep fit.
It might have, for example, what does the student request? Now, you would underline request because you want to listen for that answer to come in. But if you listen for the word request, it's probably not going to be in the text, and then you'll get lost. But if you think of synonyms for the key words, and then you're prepared, so you see request, you think, okay, maybe they'll say ask for, and then you're ready for the synonym to come.
You might call your doctor and say, I want to make an appointment for 3:15 in the afternoon. And the doctor will say, yes, that's Tuesday afternoon, the 3rd of March at 3:50. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's Tuesday afternoon, the 3rd of March at 3:15. So when you're listening to it, they might go back and reverse the information. So just because you hear something the first time doesn't mean it's the right answer.
Also, look at the topic that it's talking about. For example, maybe it's talking about sport. As you see that, start to think about sport. We tend to organise vocabulary in groups in our brain. So what you need to do is kind of activate your vocabulary for a certain area. So when you see maybe the topic from the various questions, start thinking about words that you know as well. It's a lot to do in 30 seconds. But this is one thing you can do.
Looked at students' work when they've done practice tests for me, and maybe the answer was 30 seconds, and the student wrote 30 S. S doesn't mean anything to me. I don't know what S is. Another student might have written 30 SEC. SEC is a standard abbreviation. If you're going to use abbreviations on the IELTS test, make sure you know what the standard abbreviation is for a native English speaker. I would say write out the word if you've got the time. Write the abbreviation when you're making notes for yourself on the test paper itself, because remember, on the listening test, you're given 10 minutes to transfer your answers at the end of the test. When you write out your answers on the answer sheet, write the whole word. students tell me they've lost track, they don't know what's going on, they can't figure it out.
And then they start to panic and they lose their place. You need to think, if you miss an answer, don't worry about it. Go on.
Listen for key ideas. While you're listening, while you're lost, look down at your questions, find those key words, and listen for them. Chances are you're going to hear a word that fits one of the words in the question. And if you hear the word that fits in the question, pick up from that point. You're given 10 minutes at the end to transfer your answers. And, you know, miracles happen. Wonderful things happen. You might remember the question. You might remember the answer at the end when you're filling in your answer sheet.
You will hear a conversation between a man arranging an animal adoption as a birthday present for his daughter and an administration officer at a zoo. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 8. You will hear part of a lecture given to students starting a geology course. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 8. You will hear a conversation between a man arranging an animal adoption as a birthday present for his daughter and an administration officer at a zoo. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 8. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully to the conversation and answer questions 1 to 8.
Can I help you at all?
Yes. I'd like to know a bit more about your animal adoption scheme. How does it work exactly?
Well, basically, you can contribute to the cost of an animal's diet and care and towards the upkeep of its enclosure for a year with a one-off payment. You then get various gifts, such as a photograph of the animal you've adopted and your name on one of the thank you boards around the zoo. The gifts depend on which package you go for. There are 4 different packages. The details are on this leaflet here.
I see. Okay. I'd like to do this as a birthday present for my daughter. Can I set this up with you now?
Yes, sure. Let me just get an adoption form. Right. Now, I just need to take a few details from you. First of all, your name.
Eamon Kennedy.
How do you spell Eamon?
E-A-M-O-N-N.
E-A-M-O-N-N. Right, and your address, please?
17 Warringah Road, Manly.
Warringah. That's W-A-R-R-I-N-G-A-H, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, and your daytime telephone number?
9807 2366.
9807 2326.
No, it's 2366.
Okay. Do you have an email address?
Yes, it's ekennedy@connectup.com. That's ekennedy@connectup.com, all lowercase.
Okay. Right. Which animal would you like to adopt?
Well, I was thinking about one of the threatened or endangered species, like the snow leopard or the white tiger. But as we're living in Australia, maybe I should pick an Australian animal.
Well, the platypus or red-necked wallabies are endangered too, but they do get more sponsorship in Australia than the others you mentioned.
Actually, I think my daughter would prefer a larger animal. So I'll tell you what. I'll go for the white tiger.
Okay. And do you want the adoption pack sent to you or your daughter?
My daughter, please.
Okay. So I need to take her name.
Claire. Claire Kennedy.
Is that C-L-A-R-E or C-L-A-I-R-E?
It's with an I. C-L-A-I-R-E.
Right. And the address and telephone number are the same as yours?
Yes.
And what's your date of birth?
18th of June, 1997.
Okay. And which package would you like?
This one, package 2.
Right. That's $200. How would you like to pay?
By Visa.
Can I have your card number, please?
It's 4085 1388 1019 0242.
Okay, so that's 4085 1388 1019 0242. And the expiry date?
November 2004.
Fine. You should receive confirmation of this within 2 weeks, and your daughter's gifts will all arrive before her birthday.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That is the end. You now have half a minute to check your answers. You will hear part of a lecture given to students starting a geology course. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 8. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully to the lecture and answer questions 1 to 8.
Good morning, and welcome to this, the first lecture in the series, The Composition of the Earth. I'm going to start by giving you an overview of the Earth's internal structure, and from there we'll go into more detail. When we talk about the structure of Earth, we're referring to everything on this planet. And if we start from the outside, that includes the atmosphere, the layer of gases, mainly oxygen and nitrogen, that extends from the Earth's solid surface for about 1,000 kilometers into space. It also includes the hydrosphere. This is the layer of water that covers almost 3/4 of the Earth's surface. It's made up of the oceans and seas, the ice caps, rivers, lakes, and underground water. The average depth of the oceans, which make up most of the hydrosphere, is 3,794 meters. The part we're standing on is called the Earth's crust, and from here to the center of the Earth is a distance of 6,378 kilometers. The crust forms the rocky surface of the Earth, including the continents and the ocean floor. Below the crust is another layer of rocks, mainly silicates, called the upper mantle. These two layers make up what's known as the lithosphere, the rigid outermost shell of the Earth, and they're divided into about a dozen moving blocks or tectonic plates. The exact thickness of the lithosphere under the continents isn't known for sure, but it's believed to be between 250 and 500 kilometers thick, under the ancient stable regions of the Earth's crust, known as cratons, and at least 80 kilometers on average elsewhere. It tends to be thinner under the oceans and in areas that are volcanically active. Geologists believe that below the lithosphere, and separating the upper mantle from the lower mantle, is a zone of weakness called the asthenosphere. This is thought to be a narrow, mobile zone of hot semi-molten material. Because of the high temperatures it's subject to, the asthenosphere softens and flows. As a result, the tectonic plates of the lithosphere above move about slowly and collide with each other, producing such phenomena on the surface as continental drift, earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions. The lower mantle is hotter and less rigid than the upper mantle, and extends to a depth of about 2,900 kilometres. Together, the upper mantle and the lower mantle constitute 9/10 of the Earth's volume. Right at the centre of the Earth is the core. The outer core, with a temperature of 5,500 degrees centigrade, is liquid. It's about 2,200 kilometres thick, and it's made up of 88% iron and 12% nickel. As the Earth rotates, the liquid outer core spins, and this produces the Earth's magnetic field. Right at the centre of the Earth is the solid inner core. This has a radius of approximately 1,275 kilometres, and is composed mainly of iron and other heavy metals. One would expect the inner core to be liquid, because it reaches temperatures of around 6,600 degrees centigrade. But in fact, due to the enormous pressure, it's solid. Of course, nobody has seen any part of the Earth's interior below.
That is the end. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Mm.